Let's look at a variety of casting strategies today while drifting during generation. Here's some things to remember. And in the examples in a minute, I'm going to show you how to cast from different positions and different situations. While drifting, I find it's always best to cast either to the side or downstream. And then finally, it's really important to make your cast relative to the sun position. You always want the sun to be on the other side of the fly from where you're casting. If the shoal is wide and not technical, what I like to do is position my boat on one side or the other at an angle and cast it at 1, 2, and 3 o'clock. So working the drop-offs, I'll cast over close to the shore, work the drop-off, then strip it in. Also in the channel, I work the channel the same way. Start close to the boat and then let it out. And then on the other side as well. So the whole idea is you'll want to keep, particularly in the high water, you're going to want to cast mainly toward the shores. As I'm drifting downstream toward the middle of the shoal, now what I'll do is I'll swing the boat down and be more perpendicular, but still working the sides via my position 1, 2, and 3, and working on on a swing and using the techniques that I had in that other video. Now notice as the boat is drifting down, I'm changing the boat's position relative to the curve of the river and giving me optimal casting toward the edge and the channel. And then also in this case, this is at the end of the shoal, dropping off into the deeper water. Okay, now let's look at an example of a shoal, and this is below Bertrand. So what I'll do in this case is, see on that left, I'll cast under the trees. You see the feather on the left, I'll cast under there, let my jig swing, or in this case, high sticking it is a good option. That water is about 5 feet deep, 6 feet deep at that point. And in this case, I'm gonna keep my flies mainly on that left-hand side. So now, next I'll cast down to that eddy below that tree and let it circle around in that eddy, okay, in the left. And then you'll see now there's another log there up ahead. So I'm going to do the same thing there. I'm going to cast just above it and let that jig fall down right below that standing wave that we've got and high stick it through this feather section. So I cast off to the left at 10 o'clock. Here's an example of casting a jig off to the left. So you'll notice I cast right over by the bank. And so now what I'm doing is I'll reel a little bit, I'll pop my rod tip up and then lower it, then reel it in while I'm lowering it. And I'll keep doing that until I get about 10 feet from the boat. And then I'll stop and let it sit there. And quite often that's where the fish will hit. In fact, in this case, there was a fish that followed me all the way up to the boat. Now here are some suggestions on what to do if fish are following and not biting. And I think you'll find these helpful. Basically what you're doing is you're either changing your rhythm, you're changing your depth, you're changing the timing, you're also maybe casting different, etc. And if that doesn't work, then you can look at changing your gear, changing colors, changing your tippet size, etc. Now, in this final example of using a fly rod to cast toward the edge, and in this case, I literally cast within 4 feet of the edge. the fish hit it almost immediately when it hit the water. And then you can see me fighting it until I get it in. I caught this fish on a Spanish bullet perdigon, about 5 feet deep and 5X tippet. So that's why I was able to kind of hoss him in. That's a good setup for when the water is up high and moving fast.